Hi, I'm Scott Walston, President and Senior Fellow at the Technology Policy Institute. This video will tell you everything you ever wanted to know about the connections between standard essential patents, innovation, and antitrust. It's based on a discussion hosted by TPI on March 17, 2017. Patents and antitrust are uneasy policy cousins. Patents grant a legal temporary monopoly, while antitrust prevents companies from abusing market power. Both promote innovation and both have costs. Patents create an incentive to innovate by holding out the prospect of earning monopoly profits for a while on new discoveries. The cost is that others can't directly build on those innovations without permission until the patent expires. Antitrust promotes innovation by making sure companies compete against each other. The cost is that certain types of innovation may be harder to promote when the benefits of research won't accrue only to the sponsoring company. For example, Bell Labs became unsustainable when Ma Bell was no longer a monopoly. Standard essential patents cover technologies that are, well, essential to using a technical standard. Because a standard essential patent covers a technology necessary to use an industry standard, anyone must be allowed to license use of that technology at fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory, or FRAND, rates. Panelists argued that policy can strike a balance of thoughtful application of antitrust law and proper enforcement of patents. Alan Devlin, acting deputy director of the Competition Bureau at the Federal Trade Commission, offered a basic definition of antitrust law in the U.S.
When I think of antitrust, and I think studied properly U.S. antitrust law, it does take this form. It has a specific quality which involves protecting the market process by which firms vie for sales with one another along multiple dimensions beyond the obvious things of price, quality, but also fundamentally innovation, producing dynamic efficiencies, etc., etc.
Devlin stresses protection of competition, not competitors. With this in mind, then, are standard essential patents, which restrict options for competitors, necessarily an area in need of antitrust intervention? Devlin argues that other countries have increasingly handled standard essential patent issues as antitrust problems.
When we look at the standard setting process, essentially enforcers around the world have made an antitrust problem of attempts to enforce RAND or FRAND encumbered standard essential patents without asking whether the source for that enforcement lay in some degradation of the competitive process or a lifting of a market constraint.
In the United States, where antitrust laws are supposed to protect competition, the presence of market power alone, derived from history, marketing, or a patented idea or technology, is not considered an antitrust issue. The 1995 IP guidelines, issued jointly by the Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission, note that patents do not necessarily harm the competitive process. Scott Keefe, a commissioner at the U.S. International Trade Commission, argued that patents could encourage a firm to innovate via the traditional mechanism of rewarding an innovator via temporary monopoly, and they can also signal other market actors to help facilitate cross-firm and cross-industry coordination.
Patents may be like a carrot in front of a rabbit, and that little bunny may hop to it, but you have to, as the government, have an immense amount of information about whether that bunny already ate breakfast, whether somebody else is holding a much bigger basket of carrots, and whether there's a wolf in the bunny's view before you can accurately predict which way that bunny's going to hop. But if you think about patents very differently, you turn out all the lights in the room and you shut the windows and you make it pitch black and you give one person in this room a flashlight. What do we all immediately know when she turns it on? Exactly where to find her. And if we show up at that beacon, we can talk not only with her, the owner, the patentee, but with each of the other market actors interested in finding that asset.
Thus, by this signaling mechanism, standard essential patents can lead to innovation and economic growth by helping complementary small firms and big firms find each other and provide incentives for new firms to enter the market. They can also help antitrust authorities by providing information about the relevant markets.
Before 1980, the US, Europe, and Japan all had large pharmaceutical companies and all had vibrant biotech research going on in their universities. And after 1980, they did as well. But only in the US and only after 1980, only after these concrete changes to some areas of patent law, and by the way, antitrust law as well, did you see a dramatic growth of small and medium-sized biotech companies, and a dramatic growth in the rate at which new products and new devices came to market in the biotech industry, a growth that basically lasted several decades.
Tim Simcoe, professor of strategy and innovation at the Questrom School of Business at Boston University, acknowledges the benefits of standards, but at the same time, he noted that they can be used to block entry.
Sort of standards are a type of collective agreement among competitors. It's not obvious that standards bodies lack that they have the means or the incentives to enforce their pro-competitive policies or to create them. And often consumers and future implementers just aren't at the table when these agreements get struck.
Nevertheless, he sees additional benefits resulting from the coordination inherent in standard essential patents.
I don't think this is likely to diminish. It's going to get bigger in fields like the Internet of Things or autonomous vehicles or artificial intelligence or the blockchain. We have the standard kinds of interoperability issues. Decentralized innovation is proceeding apace, and there's increasing concerns with security and safety that arguably increase the importance of coordination.
Still, patents and antitrust law must work together. Keefe summarizes the need to balance the costs and benefits of both to promote competition, efficiency, and innovation.
That beacon in the dark room approach to patents can inform not just patent enforcement government bodies and patent granting government bodies, but antitrust enforcement and antitrust regulating government bodies as well, and can see the way in which patents and antitrust in fact work together, not against each other, to facilitate dynamic efficiency, to facilitate coordination among market actors over assets without requiring an immense amount of direct government involvement. And that can lead to a lot of diversity in firm size and a lot of products and services being accessed by consuming public.
Again, this video summarizes the views presented during the panel discussion and are not necessarily ours. We link to the full discussion in the description below. Thanks for watching.